Hello everyone and welcome to the Open Talks episode number 25. In this episode, we are bringing you four interesting topics. First is like Magisk has released an update. So if it is good or bad, what are the pros and cons of it? We'll see about that. Second is Lenovo is having some internal issues with AMD. So like let's see what are those. Third is Pixel is trying to uh, go into a different market. Like they have released phones, they have released earbuds. Now there is a whole new market they are trying to go in. Let's see what that is and how successful it can be. And the last one is interesting voice by Microsoft has been banned. So yeah, let's also talk about that. So yeah, let's start the podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So the first topic is Magisk 24, and the last update was released in I guess February of 2021. Right? So more than a year, I guess, around a year. This is. And after that, whole Twitter thing happened where John Woo tweeted that he got into Google and Google's Android security, especially. So everyone was mad about it, and John Woo told like it won't affect her. So now in this update, they are making four changes. First is Magisk hide is going away. So essentially, you have to move to the third party solution, and that's an interesting thing. Like Magisk hide was the integrated part of the Magisk from ages, and now it is gone. So we can understand that maybe John Woo is not trying to fight with Google on this one, and maybe let third party people take care of it. Second is Magis' online repo is dead. So you cannot just go into modules section and download the modules from internet, right?
By
That's not
repo, I
possible now.
mean, I think you mean the market, right? The repo, like the market of
Yeah,
modules. Yeah.
right, right. I mean the whole section is gone. So already that was on freeze, right? So there were no
Right.
updates coming on the module from ages. We already knew that. But now that
Correct.
freezes has moved to dead thing. So
Permanent
essentially,
discontinuity.
yes, yeah, permanent. So I mean, they've provided another solution in which there is something called as JSON update. They've implemented that, and the developers through that can actually throw the update. So if you have a module already installed, developer can throw the update through JSON update. But me and Abhirab didn't understand how you are going to download the module in the first place. So
Correct. Correct.
that was one of the not clear thing.
I mean,
Third is I guess
only way to do it is
yeah,
maybe like you can flash it by downloading zip, right? In the TWAP.
correct.
That is one way to install those modules,
That's
right?
how
If I
they
remember it correctly.
correct,
So
correct,
that is
correct.
always
Absolutely
there,
correct.
right? That is always there. So maybe something like
Yep.
that plus JSON, right?
Hmm. Right. That could be the solution. But that one-stop store is gone. So I mean that was one of the key things. But yeah,
Right. I mean,
who
someone
knows?
has to come up with a new store, I guess. Maybe in XDA or somewhere.
Correct.
Maybe in
Absolutely
Tux,
correct.
right?
Yeah. Yep. Right. And last change they made is Digest, ZYGISK. So they call it Magisk in Zygote, and they're thinking this as a next big thing for Magisk. So what they're planning is this was already there with Rero and those modules, right? So what this module can do is they can literally run the code inside apps process. So now this opens up a lot of things which were not already open. Lots of customization, lots of hacking. Those things can be done. and that is now built into Magisk. So that will be, I mean, that will be interesting to see different models coming with this functionality. So it seems like some kind of some exposed level of thing, but I'm not so sure like how well it will perform, like how famous it will get, right? So it is out, guys. Even I guess even the Magis 23, we will be getting some pop-up saying that update is there. If you want to try, you can always try
Absolutely.
and let us know in the comments like how will it go. Yeah, I think you can put your points if you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like he joined Google. That is the first problem, right? We did, but the thing is, Google
Yeah,
allowing him to continue the Magisk is something of out of this realm, right? Something which we never expected,
right.
right? And that is
We didn't
absolutely
expect.
good for us, right? I mean, absolutely good for us. But it is also good for, as you have already mentioned to me in the like, I mean, previous conversation we had personally, right? It might be a
Yep.
uh, you know it might be a way to try, to prevent other projects from replacing this project, right? I mean, keep this project going so
Absolutely.
that nothing better will come up,
Yeah,
right?
huge.
So
Correct. It is something like to work at one head, 10 heads will come up, right? So Google is
correct,
just trying to prevent those 10 heads from coming by not cutting one head.
correct. So it is something like Intel AMD kind of thing, right? AMD is for,
Yep.
major why AMD exists in the first place was like Intel basically, gave them the architecture, licensed it, still kept
Right.
them in the game, right? But if they cut
Right.
AMD off the scene, then some other company will come up with a totally different architecture, which will be like, next level or something. Then challenge them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is a reason, right? I mean, companies do this a lot of
I
time,
mean
right?
that that did happen, but after a lot of years, right? M1 came in,
Absolutely,
right? So M1
absolutely,
is literally the competitor of Intel because now MacBooks don't have Intel inside of them, right?
correct,
So that
correct. I
that
mean,
that could have happened years ago if Intel banned, some
AMD.
those are
I
usage of
mean,
architecture.
Intel
Yeah.
basically killed the total license of AMD, right? I mean, AMD was basically a
Right.
manufacturer for Intel, right? If you remember, like, it's like just a manufacturer.
Yep.
But then what they happened to do is they happened to make some chips on their own thing, right? Because
Right.
they had the license with them, right? Because for manufacturing something, they have to have the license. That was some kind of a legal thing, right? Legal necessity. So they had x86 license, but what happened
Hmm.
is AMD, what they did was they to make sure that there is no more competitor than Intel, right? AMD made a
Hmm.
64-bit architecture and licensed Intel with it,
I
right?
see. I see.
Like Intel, gave the copyright to AMD, right? In the first place to keep
Okay.
them going, right? You get me, right? So Intel and AMD
Yep.
had
Yep.
some symbiosis in the kind of space to maintain the duopoly on the consumer grade, what do you call it, PC
Okay.
PC processor market, right? So consumer grade and also
Right.
enterprise grade, I guess, right? I mean, at this point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. At this point, both of them.
yeah, that is a situation, right? And I mean, Magisk, I guess people are nowadays I guess moving from root mode, right? I mean, nowadays people are not rooting that much their phones, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even I
Yeah.
am not rooting that much. I'm just having a root access.
Yeah.
That is it, right? I mean, I don't actually use the root access excessively or
Use
anything.
the
It feels
correct.
like nowadays Android is very bland, right? The space is bland. It feels like all the Android can do is basically run some apps and that is it, right? I mean, nothing more than that. Maybe run Linux and those kind of things was fast right now. We don't want to. And also when the term X came up, it kind of fixed, I guess, 50% of the problem we had with Android, because we
Absolutely.
can still run Linux applications, but not the ones which need roots. But like, still
Hmm.
we will get at least like 50% of what we need, right? So in theory, we stopped, I guess, using root, right? Nowadays,
Yeah.
everything even works without root. Like Google Cam mode, everything works without root, right? And
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, the only things which doesn't work without root is like the real things, like battery monitoring, some integrated
Yeah.
battery monitoring, right? maybe reading the
Right.
cycles of the battery, right? Maybe changing the behavior of
Hmm.
the standby applications and all those things. Maybe modifying the audio, right? Like Viper and Dolby, those kind of things.
Correct.
So those are the only things which are still pending. And I mean, maybe if Google integrates some way to interface normal applications which want to manipulate audio, right? I mean, some equalizer interface
Hmm.
API, right? Like,
Yeah, system-wide equalizer. Right.
yeah, system level interface,
Which is
equalizer interface
which
API,
is
right? Something like that.
yeah, which is there in iOS if I remember correctly. Yeah,
Correct,
it is
correct,
there in iOS. Yes.
correct. I'm not
No,
actually that aware, but I think it should be there, right? Because see, even Linux already
it is
has the interface, right? Linux, you don't need actually
correct.
root access to run PulseFix. If I'm correct.
Correct. Correct. Right away. But it is even there in MIUI.
But there is no equalizer
The
interface.
sound
I
enhancer
mean,
is there.
I mean interface. I meant
It is
not
there.
the equalizer, right? I meant something like an API.
It is,
API is the application programming interface, right?
yeah, API is not there. No, no.
Yeah, yeah, that is
Right.
that is what I was meaning. So something like if you want to make an equalizer,
Hmm.
then it will be able to plug into the system, right? Like system will say,
Correct.
I want to output this audio. Here is the raw PCM
Right.
data, right? By the way, PCM is pulse code modulation. It is the basic unit of how the audio is represented raw in systems, right? So basically, this PCM is taken in, and then some convolution and all those filtering, IAR, FAR filtering, and all those things are done on the audio, right? Then this audio is given back to the system itself, right? And the system
Understood.
will output to the actual hardware. This is very easy to implement, right? I mean, when you think about it, it's not that hard, right?
Not that hard. Yeah.
Not that hard. So, only thing is we need something after the mixer, right? I mean, there is mixer,
Hmm.
then there is this what do you call, like this in layer which actually manipulates the audio. Then after which we have the system audio, right? I mean,
Yeah.
basically, the system audio goes to mixer, and from the mixer it mixes everything and goes to the plugin, right? Which we have, and from the plugin goes to the mixer back, and from the mixer goes down to the system. So I mean,
Correct.
maybe Google, if you are listening, maybe take notes on this, right? And maybe you can make this
I
happen.
mean, first of all, don't disable APK support.
Yeah,
Then do everything else.
they can disable as long as they could just make some kind of a APT
Yeah.
thing for Android, right?
No,
APT
no, no,
or
no, no.
DPKG or
But
something, right? Where we can compile and
with
install
APK,
programs
the problem
directly.
is that no, no. With APD, the problem is that it will be controlled by Google, right? So there should be something like DPKG where we can install our package
Correct, correct.
because
That is
APD
what
will
I'm.
be
Yeah,
controlled by Google.
I mean APT, right? Apt.
Yeah, I mean package manager, any kind of
Yeah,
package
yeah,
manager.
yeah,
If
yeah.
Google is providing,
We need the sources dot list also, right? I mean, we have to control the sources dot list also. Then that should be fine.
right?
Right. Oh
Like,
man, okay, so Magisk, I mean, see, Magisk is, I guess, now not that relevant, you know, in this era because it is getting less and less relevant. I mean, relevant because people are now not
mm-hmm.
rooting that much and not modding their phones as much, right? I mean, anymore.
Yeah,
Nowadays, people have so many things to lose, like banking softwares, I guess,
yep,
Netflix, Prime Video, all those things, right? All those DRM shebang, right? Then
correct.
they'll be losing the, like manufacturers support, right? So there is a lot of things to lose, right? I mean, we have already lost a lot of things in terms of hardware also. I mean, the 3.5 jack, right? At this point,
Yep,
Android is basically iPhone. So just use it like an iPhone
right.
rather than an Android, right? So yeah, the idea of Android
Mm-hmm.
has changed to iPhone-ish. That we are supposed to use
Yeah,
it in a way what a manufacturer intends to use, right? I mean, manufacturer and Google, right? Basically, both of them
yeah,
intends to use. So no more customizations, I guess. And I guess as long as he is in the security team, right? Android security team,
yeah.
he will keep on patching the security vulnerabilities very fast. This is good and bad, good is that we won't have any vulnerabilities, right?
Correct.
The bad thing is that we won't have any vulnerabilities to exploit and root, right? Like, so yeah,
Right, right, right.
both sides there is a problem, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess that is it, right? That is it for that topic. What do you think?
All right. Yeah, that covers a lot of things.
Perfect.
So the next is Lenovo and AMD are having some internal issues. Like Lenovo is trying to lock down some of the functionality which AMD CPUs do have, right? So yeah, Abhiram literally works at AMD. He will like
Right,
tell the things which are shareable. So yeah, like
right. So I can only
people
talk
like
about whatever is public. So I mean,
correct.
in theory, I don't even work in this department, so not a problem. Right. So yeah, I mean, AMD functionality is something like AMD gives every functionality to users, right? That is how the way is, right, with AMD processors. I mean, that is good because see, like enterprise grade features are locked down by Nvidia as well as Intel always, right? They lock down these features, but AMD likes to give it to the customers, right? Have a play, right? You can use it. Right?
I mean,
I mean, in the sense these processors are also the same process as going in enterprises, right? They basically bint only, right? The hardware
yeah,
exists, there's a software locked or hardware locked in the sense that they laser cut the traces, right? So
okay,
the idea is basically that the processor itself has all the hardware, but normally people do disable it, right? you know but now
got
what
it.
happened is that one feature which AMD intended for the like the enterprise grade
Hmm.
ecosystem, right, got kind of used in a different you know means, right? That is
Hmm. Hmm.
what is the situation is like, secure boot and all those things, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
secure boot is basically like you have a key in the system which is trusted.
Okay.
It's called a root of trust, right? So that is a key, right? And with the root of trust, so then what happens is the system kind of can validate if the BIOS is not tampered or not, right? I mean, it's like, and also the bootloader is not tampered. It can verify that,
Hmm.
right? By checking the state of the machine, right? I mean, machine will actually achieve some state, right, after some time, and that state will be always the same, unless
Correct.
the code is somehow modified, right? And this state is verified by the like the TPM, right? The TPM module, right? So that is trusted platform module, right? TPM. And this is how the
Yeah.
secure boot works, right? How the booting securely everything works. But in this case,
Hmm.
actually, in Intel's case, actually, everything is external, right? All the security engines are external to the chipsets, right? But in case of AMD, it's all integrated in the processor, right?
Understood.
So what happens is that we can actually use this feature, right? I mean, not just a TPM. This is so normal TPM which I talked about, but there's enterprise TPM, right? Through which you can actually lock the CPU to the BIOS. So the idea is basically
Okay.
same thing. That is, the BIOS will be signed by a key, right? And
Right.
if the BIOS is not signed by that particular key, then the CPU will refuse to work with the BIOS, right? You get the idea. So
Okay. Okay.
that key, so for example, Lenovo has a key, right? And maybe HP has a key, right, to sign the BIOS. Like that, every manufacturer has a key. So this means that if
Hmm.
Lenovo uses a key, then only the BIOS is signed by that particular key will be accepted by the CPU, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
this means that if you take the Ryzen CPU from that particular laptop and put it in another laptop, which may be of
Hmm.
HP brand, it won't boot
Hmm.
because the CPU,
Oh,
once it sees a BIOS as illegitimate, it will kind of stop
got
working with
it.
the BIOS, right? So there you go. And this is how it kind of locks up, right, the CPU, and no, nothing works anymore, right?
Right. Got it.
And
Got it.
this is actually
Understood.
a bad practice because the feature was actually intended for a server market to lock down CPUs so that people can't just swap in CPUs, right, in the servers. right? Maybe like take the CPU,
Understood.
get the key, right now, and all those things. But in case of consumers,
Okay.
this is not even a thing, right? Consumer has to deal with, because who is going to take the CPU of consumers and put it into something else, and maybe
Absolutely. Yeah.
do something like this, right? This is really awkward, and maybe even getting a key from a consumer laptop is awkward, right? Maybe enterprise laptops, yeah, there is a possibility, but not personal laptops, right? This is really weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that is really the problem here, right? So what Lenovo did is Lenovo didn't ask any choice, right? Lenovo just
Oh,
enabled this by default. So what happens is once you buy the PC, there is no way for you to know if it is locked or not, right? Until you just take the processor
oh,
out and
okay.
put it into new one and it doesn't boot, right? And there you go, right? Locked. So
Okay.
this is where all the hate is coming from, because you didn't have a choice and you don't know if your thing is locked or not, because they don't even
Mhm.
advertise in the page that the processor is locked. Like, I mean, it's very easy,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Hey guys, like, just one note, like, this thing is locked, right? Just put a disclaimer
Mm-hmm.
at the bottom, right? I mean, how hard was that,
Yeah.
right? And now this will actually cause a very big havoc, because there will be a lot of processors in eBay and all those places where they'll be scalping all the, not scalping, I mean salvaging all the processors and maybe selling it.
Mm.
And if one person buys it, maybe to put it in an HP laptop, and they just buy it, right? And they
Yeah.
unknowingly buy this particular CPU which is locked. And the seller might be even legit, because they might not even know, right? This is a thing, right?
Absolutely.
This locking is a thing.
Mm.
And now what happens is, when this processor is put on, it doesn't boot, and now the seller gets
Oh,
some hate, and there'll be people, unhappy people all around the world, right, with dead
mm.
CPUs, just because Lenovo wanted to kill the CPUs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and this also contributes to e-waste. I mean, this is a feature which customers, I think, really wanted, right? I mean, server customers really wanted, right? But I mean, I guess this is a feature server customers want, because they want to lock down the CPU, right? But this was never meant for the end user, right? I mean, the normal consumers. I think
Yeah.
I have no idea, right? I mean, most probably it is, right? It was the intent of AMD, right? So
Mm.
this particular feature was never meant to be enabled on any consumer laptops or desktops, right? I mean, for that matter. So
Okay.
there is that, right? I mean, that means that the processors are becoming e-waste. I mean, at the server side, maybe that is all heavy worked processor, they are like having an end of life, right, kind of situation there,
Yeah.
right? But in consumer side, they leave a lot, right? I mean,
Yeah. 10
consumers
plus
do
years
nothing,
easily.
right? So yeah, this is really a bad step from Lenovo, and I actually really supported Lenovo for a very long time, right? The ThinkPads and all those durability and all those things, right?
Correct.
But this is bad. This is a really bad step, and Lenovo should probably fix it, right? I mean, if they don't fix it, then
Mm.
I'm not buying a Lenovo anymore, right? So yeah,
Perfect. Okay. Amazing. Yeah. We got to know a lot of it. They, that is a pretty good explanation.
absolutely.
So, moving to the next topic, we have Pixel Watch. Now, let's see, let's put it this way. Google was the software company initially, right? Then they tried to become a software supplier and tried to make hardware from different vendors like LG, Huawei, Motorola, the Nexus series. Then they tried to become the hardware company, where in the premium segment they failed. So what we can call is all the pixels failed, but the pixel A's kind of went ahead, right? They went ahead in the sense. So what they understood is they're not making the hardware good enough, and then they stopped making the hardware using different other CPUs. If you see last year, they didn't release Pixel 5. They only released Pixel 5a, because 5, I mean, A series always works, because that in that segment they're the king. Now, moving to the next part, they have built their own SoC. Like, let's put it this way: they have built it using the help of Samsung. But It is their own SSD, and it does have many good features which other SoCs don't have. So uh, that was their journey on these smartphones. Now, if you see the accessories market, like there is what do we call earbuds. So Pixel buds were always a good choice, but not the best choice. Like if you will go in the market, you won't generally consider buying Pixel buds because the features were really good, but the sound was not that great. So they kind of not they didn't hit the market, but they sold a little bit just to survive. Now with this new segment of their own hardware, that is smart watches, right? Pixel Watch is coming in. And what is so interesting about it? So the main thing is that we all know Fitbit, right? Fitbit is so good at making this uh, health
Fitness trackers.
tracker smartwatch, fitness trackers, correct. And Google has acquired Fitbit.
Yeah,
So now all the technologies Fitbit had, Google can easily access. So what we can call that is the hardware kind of hardware side of the thing is fixed. Software side Google is there. So from Aegis we can see Wear OS evolving time to time. Last
correct.
time we saw Wear OS was on Samsung's some Active 4 smartware. I forgot the name. But last time Samsung and Google kind of collaborated and Google shipped Wear OS to specific watch of Samsung. And that watch actually succeeded. So we can see that Wear OS is a good operating system.
Absolutely.
Combining that formula with Fitbit's
Hardware.
proprietary technologies and sensors, this should be a really good smartwatch.
Absolutely.
And the leaks, like the renders in the design, we are not so sure because generally what happens is uh, when some phones design gets leaked, it is the actual design. But in wearables, it's not generally correct because anyone can basically make the leaks and render it. So I mean, uh, just take it with a grain of salt. But the leaks are looking really good. Like the watch is so slim, and the edge glass, right? The whole glass is melting to the edges, and it's a round uh, watch, and it looks pretty good. So it definitely looks better than Apple's Apple Watch. So yeah, I mean, this will be a hit if Google launches below 350 US dollars. That is
Hmm.
where I guess Samsung and Apple starts. It will be a hit for sure. So let's see, like what Google. I mean, generally Google doesn't launch it below
Lower prices.
the market. Yeah. So I mean, there the hopes are small, but
I
if they really
think
want to
Pixel
succeed,
6a was the only thing, right? Which just mind blowed everyone.
absolutely.
Which one? 6a or 5a? I forgot.
5A. I mean,
5a. Yeah.
every A, right? Every A you will see, every A is good
Correct. Correct.
because in that segment, no one is providing that much great camera. So that's why they are killing it. But I mean, let's see. Most probably they won't launch it this watch at lower rate. But if they launch, then this will kind of kill the market.
Right. So yeah, I mean, my takes on this is like, I mean, wearables is some place where I don't actually see much innovation, right? Like
Absolutely right.
it has been stagnant for a very long time, right? I mean, we have these Fitbits, we have Edmi
Yeah.
band, we have Amazfit, right? Amazfit's band, right? I mean, lot of bands and also Amazfit. I mean, there's watches, right? Which also integrates the fitness component to the whole thing, right? Uh, and these are all like having a proprietary operating system with no app support. That is the whole shebang, right? Normally.
That's the problem.
So Wear OS actually goes in the opposite direction, right? It's Android. It has APK
Okay.
support, right? It can install new apps.
Yep.
It can actually be customized to Moon, right? Literally, the watch itself. Uh, and Apple
Correct.
has, I don't know what about Apple Watch. I mean, Apple Watch can install apps. I don't know, right?
Apple Watch can, yeah, it can from the
It can.
store
So
provided, it can.
right,
But
right.
I mean, from the store only, right? It cannot be side loaded.
Side loader. Okay, okay, okay. So there is one place where I guess the Android Wear will actually succeed because it can be side loaded.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, I mean this is developer friendly, right? Compared to Apple Watch. I mean Apple Watch is. I mean I'm not saying it
Correct.
is not developer friendly in the sense like it's easy to just develop an app and side load it to Android rather than in Apple where they had to get blessed by Tim Cook, right? I mean so.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
okay, so it's better than not even getting, not even having an option to even like even if it is blessed, you can't make it work kind of situation, right? That is worse, right, compared to this situation, right? So yeah,
Correct.
I mean, I think this should work, right? This should work. One thing Android Wear was having the most backlash was like it is everyone was saying Android Wear lags, it is choppy, it heats up sometimes.
Yeah,
This like
I remember
these are
those
all
things.
the
Right.
errors people say, right? So these
Correct.
will all be fixed if there is a good hardware, right? So it was
Absolutely
just the
correct. Yep.
hardware was
Yep.
too
Yep. Yep.
underpowered, right? And I mean maybe also
Right.
Google is too much pushing on software also, right? I mean the skins and
Hmm.
everything, the transparent effects,
Yep.
everything looks a little bit too much futuristic, right? I mean in the sense too much pushy, right? I mean while
Hmm.
Apple just keeps just a small, I mean transparent design for the launcher, but anything other than that is not transparent solid, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Correct.
So there's not
Absolutely.
much GPU load, right? Amount, that thing.
Right. And but let's be honest, like Apple also gives you a really good SoC inside, right? Because they are
Correct.
charging premium. They're also giving a good SoC, even though the same OS, the same thing. If we run on the Apple's smartwatch and if we run on some mid-range Motorola smartwatch, that Motorola is going to lag for sure because that SoC is not that much powerful, right?
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. I mean, even though the SoC is very underpowered in the sense like it is having a lower clock speed, very low clock speed. If I'm correct,
Hmm.
800 megahertz or something. If I'm correct, right? I mean, in that watch,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like the power constraints are too much. So they are having a very low clock speed and very low performance setting, right,
Right.
in the SoC.
Right.
Even if that is the case, it's a heavy OS, right? It's just running on top,
Absolutely. It's
and it
correct.
is very tight integrated with the hardware. So they are absolutely using, I
Right.
guess, maybe even having new hardware inside the watch, right? I mean, maybe
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
SoC itself is having specific routines which are normally done by the watch. Like for example, maybe the watch has a lot of timers, right? I mean, these smartwatches might have a lot of timers, right? Timers in the
Yeah.
sense like alarms, maybe like reminders, all those things are like timers. So maybe integrating this feature into the hardware itself can offload the capability from the software, right? Maybe wake up the
Correct.
software,
Absolutely correct.
give an interrupt, right? Something like that. And
Yeah.
some more stuff like maybe generating the home screen itself maybe can be like statically
Hmm.
made by using some ASIC in the watch itself, right? Which can actually increase the performance.
Right.
So there are like a lot of things Apple could have done on top of the chip itself, right, to make it very
Hmm.
fast.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just for the wear OS, right? I mean, the optimizations to the moon, right?
Absolutely.
And always, I mean, software is inferior to hardware when done properly, right?
Always. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So hardware implementation is always is faster. So there you go, right? And that
They're faster and they're more secure. So both
absolutely.
ways it is
But the only
win-win.
problem is software can be fixed and hardware can't be fixed. So that's
Always.
also a double-edged sword, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yep.
yeah, so that is a situation, I guess. I mean, I'm full on
Hmm.
to Pixel Watch, right? I mean, if they kind of even make the watch go slow, like 10,000,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
I might even buy it. Right?
Yeah.
I
ten
might even
thousand
buy
is a
one.
good segment. Right. 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 Absolutely correct.
Correct. I mean, it is as costly as a phone, but in that case, we are getting full Android shebang, right? The watch, so
Yeah. Right.
no,
Right.
nothing to complain, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess that is it for me, right?
All right. All right.
Pixel watch.
Right. Okay, so before going to the last topic, like we can discuss an interesting thing, right? So have you seen the latest video of MKBHD where he shows OnePlus 10 R Pro or something like that, right? Which is imported from China.
No, I haven't seen the.
Okay, so let me tell you. So that OnePlus 10, right? It is not launched globally
Okay.
currently. It is only available in the China market.
Mm-hmm.
If you import it from there, if you turn on the phone, what will you see? What do you expect
I
in terms
normally
of
expect
operating
it
system?
to. I normally expect it to just turn on with the China OS, but I think it doesn't. Right?
Yeah. So if you go 3 years back in time, and if you just boot up that phone, it would have been hydrogen OS, right?
Right.
Because hydrogen OS is the fork of oxygen OS in China.
Yes.
Currently, it is color OS, literally color OS.
Okay. Okay.
No
Oh.
sign of oxygen OS.
Okay. Okay.
Zero sign of oxygen OS.
Right. 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 That is interesting. That is interesting. I mean, um, so is it just for China or like I think for global?
I mean, currently in China, they've already done it, right? So it's not too long before they literally
Do it for.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and the adapter, right? Even that is from Oppo. So there is no OnePlus standing on the adapter, charging adapter.
Interesting. So they are, I think, killing the brand.
OnePlus.
Slowly killing the brand. Slowly merging it to Oppo.
Absolutely.
Like what you did, right? I mean, what Micromax did with
Yeah.
you. Right? Slowly they
Micromax
merged
stayed with
into.
you.
Right. This is. I mean, I guess we never saw it coming because OnePlus had so much. I guess so much fan base and customer base that I thought this was
And
impossible. Right?
90% of that, uh, from that fan base, 90% of those were coming from oxygen noise, just because of oxygen noise.
Correct.
And I
Those
mean,
are gone now, and 10% is coming
those
because
are
the
gone.
phone is looking cool and maybe
And word
to
of
show
mouth,
off,
right?
right?
Yeah, yeah. It's the word of mouth. So if someone would have asked 3 years back which one to buy, I would have easily recommended them OnePlus, right? If
Correct.
they remember that from 3 years back and buy OnePlus now, then it's a different story. So
Oh,
I mean, word of mouth is already spread, and that was due to oxygen, and
I mean,
now they're
I'm not
using
going to buy
that
any more
to
OnePlus. For sure.
absolutely not, absolutely not.
It's done for,
OnePlus is
right?
a big no. I mean, buy literally Oppo, right? Why buying OnePlus?
Yeah, I mean,
And pay premium, right?
it's
Just buy
already
Oppo.
there,
That
Oppo, right?
just get lower prices.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely correct. I mean, the technology is the same. Dash charge, everything is same, right?
And
Dash charge and
Dash is already dead. Dash is already there. So even
yeah,
you're
I mean, Dash is
oh,
basically the same as
okay.
Oppo's. What is it? Book, right? Book.
Wa- Okay, so let's remember. First of all, there was Dash. Then came WAP,
Yeah.
right? WAR.
Correct. Correct.
Now
Correct.
it is VOOC and SuperVOOC. So VOOC and SuperVOOC is like common in Realme, Oppo, and OnePlus now.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean,
everywhere
Book,
you will go.
Book was basically one. I mean, Oppo only thing, right? Book was Oppo only thing. So I think
Correct.
they just slowly move to Book name, right? Basically.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Book was by default, I guess, from Oppo, right? I mean, at first,
Hmm, hmm.
always it was Book was Oppo. Right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is
So
absolutely crazy,
what I
right?
think is, yeah, what I think is like Dash or WAP charge was like fork of VOOC initially.
Correct.
They might have improved it in R&D. We are not so sure, but they might have improved it, and then everything is back to VOOC now.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
is so
the thing is, Vook and Dash charge are intercompatible. So if you use a Vook
yeah,
charger on Dash phone, it will
it
charge it,
works.
in Dash charge.
Absolutely,
Right?
because they are literally the same technology.
Yeah,
almost same thing.
same technology, same spec. Nothing is different. It's just the naming, right? That is only a difference.
The same name, and I mean OS was different. Now it is the same. So
Correct, correct, correct. So I mean, this remarks the death of, I guess, the custom, very, fast flagship feel devices. You know,
so
with the death of, I guess, customizability of Android, right? I mean, customizability of
yeah,
Android was dead already. Now the you know
it is already
the you know the phone with the fastest, most efficient, like all
there.
those, you know those those shebangs, right, are dead. You know,
Yeah,
now
there
you
was
are
only
just left with.
one. Yeah, there was only one company which was producing Android better than Google itself. That was OnePlus.
Correct.
And
I
now
mean,
that is gone, right? So the major face of Android is gone, already gone.
yeah. Now let's go to iOS, right?
Let's go to let's send Oppo to iOS and kill iOS somehow.
Right, right, absolutely. Like, let's all go to Pine phone,
Yeah,
or
there,
Purism, Librem Purism or something.
there the problem is that due to community, Oppo will be killed, right? So
Correct,
Oppo don't
correct,
go there. Yeah.
absolutely.
We're
So
talking about OSs. Well, last topic is about Andromeda OS, right?
absolutely, yes.
And
Let's talk about it.
Andromeda OS is something like Windows OS we used to see back in time when Lumia was there. So, why this OS was developed? We have already seen that flipping Surface flip, right? What was the Surface Duo? Yeah, Surface
Yeah, yeah,
Duo. That's a
Microsoft
device.
Duo.
Yeah. So for that OS, I mean, for that form factor, where we have two screens and separated from each other, for that form factor, Microsoft started developing Andromeda OS in I guess 3 4 years back, and the final aim was to deliver an OS which is compatible with two screens and leverages all the features of that form factor. So right now, what has happened is every functionality which Andromeda OS was going to bring, right? All those functionalities has been implemented into Android version of the thing. So whichever Android OS is being shipped to the Surface Duo, that has all the features. So that is one thing. Second thing is Andromeda OS is not. I mean, what do we call it? It is very rough OS currently. So it to for Microsoft to make it a smooth experience for the user and even, like again uh, make make the apps for it and those things. Windows Store is already dead for the fact that will be a long shot for Microsoft. So considering all those things, Microsoft has decided to kill that OS, and that OS is essentially Windows for two screens. So yeah, I mean that happened, but all those features are now implemented in Android, and it is cheap. So
Correct.
yeah, all about Andromeda
So
OS.
yeah, I mean, what I think is, I mean, Microsoft always tries Windows first. With
Absolutely.
Windows Phone, everything is like, and they just
Yep.
fails miserably, right? And the main problem with, like, they
Mm,
actually don't really see the point, right? I mean, why
correct.
Windows succeeds is because Windows is so generic. It just everyone just has it. That
Yeah.
they're just a de facto standard, right?
Yeah.
And in the Android, I mean, the phone space, I guess there are a lot of competitors. There is Android, there is iOS, right?
Lots of.
So what happened is that they couldn't meet the performance specification for those, right? I mean, even now, like, if you're given like a Mac PC made with exact same specs
Mm,
as what a Windows PC is done made, right? And maybe also
mm, mm,
Linux PC with exact same specs.
mm, mm,
99.99.99% sure that like Windows will be absolutely slow compared to Linux and macOS. The only
Yes.
reason why they keep beating is because Microsoft is de facto standard and
Mm.
it is not slow enough, right? I mean, x86 processors are very fast, right? So if you slow it by,
Right.
I guess, 10% of margin, users are not going to see
Mm.
that. I mean, they're not going to feel the drop, mainly
Correct.
because it's too fast to
Mm.
notice, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, that is the situation, right? But in phones, I mean,
Yeah.
every clock cycle matters, right? I mean, you can't even spare one clock cycle, and they can't just
Absolutely.
have their kind of normal lifestyle and just start a new OS, right? And
You have
Andromeda
to.
is something like that, right? I mean, they try to fit Windows in an ARM
Mm.
device, which basically has two screens, right?
Right.
And
That is correct.
there was two challenges to take over. First challenge was like, how do we even make Windows run faster in Android? That's the first challenge. The
Right.
second challenge was like, how do we handle the two screens when the two
Mm.
screens are controlled by an SoC? Like,
Right.
we are not even talking a dedicated graphics card which has, like, I mean, infinite processing power.
Mm.
When you think about the mobile devices, right? I mean, dedicated GPUs are like God, right? So
Yep.
we are not talking something like that, right? Which is handling, I guess, screens pretty much, without any problem, right? Even if they are told to like handle it
Mm.
without any VRAM, they will handle it very fine because that they have that much processing
Correct.
power, right? I mean, without any VRAM,
Correct.
you can't even display anything. But if you say you want to display like 4K image in like 1 GB of VRAM, it will do it very fast, right? Not a problem.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a problem, right? This is a problem we are having. Like the hardware is underpowered, right? And to
Mm.
face that issue, they have to come up with a new solution rather than take the old solution and fit it into the new design.
Absolutely
And I
correct.
don't know when they learn, right? I mean, Microsoft seems to be like, try throwing Windows first. If it clicks, it clicks.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, there is always Android. That is a you know always motto,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Maybe
I mean,
Microsoft, if you are listening, try Linux next time. It will fly, right?
yeah.
The
Correct.
two screens will go bar, right?
Absolutely correct. I mean, look at Chrome OS, right? What did
Absolutely,
they do? They took Gentoo and made the whole OS. Why
absolutely,
they didn't? Why did they didn't take Android? They knew, right, that Gentoo is better than Android.
absolutely.
They could have picked Android, but yeah. So I mean, use some brains.
Even Google had some brains, right? I mean, they were like, laptop
Absolutely.
running Android.
Even though they were
No, right?
exactly, absolutely not.
I mean, I even imagine in the future where everything runs the same OS, right? I want that future,
Hmm.
right? But the
Yeah.
fact is that it has to be Linux. Other than that, nothing can do that,
The,
because
the
the
problem is
source
that,
code has to be compiled in that particular platform natively.
yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, you can't
exactly.
leverage
That's
the performance, right?
otherwise it's not a thing, right? Absolutely not. Correct.
Yeah, Microsoft is like one ISO to rule them all. Throw one ISO out, and everything works harmoniously, like And
I mean,
Linux
it
even
makes
has
life easy
different
for
versions.
absolutely. I mean, it makes life easy for OEMs where they just can use same ISO for every laptop, right?
Correct, correct.
But for users, it is not optimal actually. The users don't even know that this processor can run at this much of speed. Like
Yeah, if
recently,
they were shown like what the processor can actually do, they'll be like dropping their jaws on the floor.
absolutely right. I mean, this week Abhiram helped me to move to Gen 2, right? And literally, that was my expression. Like I dropped my jaw, right? Because the thing was running never this fast I have experienced. So yeah, I mean, what Microsoft is doing, we don't know. They would learn, maybe, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, Microsoft is doing some cool things like LG, right? Where LG has got to, right? I mean,
Correct,
don't
correct.
go that path, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, but I don't know why LG just died. Like, they were not like not having any profit. They were like they were still getting bought
Hmm.
by customers, right? I mean, think about Sony and
Yeah.
Sony and I guess Microsoft. They
So,
release a device and they sell hundreds of them. That's it. Right?
yeah. Well,
Like
it
LG
seems
was
like,
way far, right,
see,
from that.
absolutely correct. Compared to them, LG was way far. But see, the problem here is that um, whatever their financing team or maybe business modeling team have suggested, LG could have been the forecast, right? The forecast of 5 years, and LG might have seen some kind of negative profits in that. That's
Right.
why I think LG did quit. Otherwise, at that point, LG was not making loss, right? But in
Correct, correct,
future, they
correct.
might have forecasted this. So that's
But
right. But
there was
maybe,
always
I mean, so
always a way to turn the ship around,
yeah,
right? I mean, we have seen a lot of
right.
places where, you know, ship has been turned around by some CEO or some
Mm-hmm.
employee who comes up and, just
Yep, yep,
makes
yep,
it
yep.
better, right? They could have just looked for someone who can make it better, right? Hired someone,
Absolutely.
maybe from Samsung, right? You know,
Hmm. That could have been a good solution, right?
yeah,
But
right. I
I
mean,
think they are trying to be a display company now. I mean, electronics company, not a smartphone company. That's what I understand.
yeah, home devices and I guess home appliances
Yeah.
and electronics.
Right.
But the thing is, the profit margin is very less, right? They have LG Gram, which is being sold, I guess, very less, right? I mean, it's not like LG Gram. Everyone
Hmm.
is using LG Gram, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
there is what? And there is all the fridges, washing machines, and all those things, right? TVs.
I mean,
Those
the
doesn't.
the the main market is B2B, right? Wherein they sell
Correct.
directly to businesses. So there they are having their edge where they sell the panels, right? Display panels. So
Yeah,
in the
but
OLED
that is not
market,
a
they are having
viable
their
model, right?
edge.
That is not a viable
That's
model
not a
because
yeah, because
someone might
yeah,
come up.
because Samsung has already came up, right?
Yeah,
You have
Samsung has
seen that
already came.
those
Yeah, right, right.
I forgot the name of the technology. Like, that is better than AMOLED, and it's looking just like AMOLED, and
It's not
yeah,
micro LED,
without
is
all
it?
the disadvantages of no. Even after micro LED, something came. Linus has made a video on that. I forgot the thing. So the thing is that it looks even better than. So the problem with AMOLED is like in the
Yeah,
brighter
yeah. I
environment, the
remember. I
panel cannot.
remember. Like the UV,
Yeah,
the blue thing, right? The blue OLED plus the LCD
yeah,
thing,
something.
right?
The
Yeah,
main
yeah.
problem of AMOLED, which is the brightness, right? That has been addressed there. And the burn-in is also not there. So that's what they are claiming, Samsung.
Quantum LED,
So
I think.
LG has to like cope up now because
QLED,
their
right?
displays are
QLED,
not bright enough in QLED. Yeah,
QLED,
QLED.
QLED.
Right, 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 right. So
I mean,
LG has
yeah,
to
they have
really
to
cope up.
keep up. Yeah, I think, right. Like when I am like thinking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
LG has to diversify, right, their business model because currently
Yeah.
they're just small, right? I mean, in the sense they are
Mm-hmm.
just having laptops, home appliances, and TVs.
Mm-hmm.
That is it, right?
Correct.
They don't
Correct.
have much, right? Even camera business, they are like losing now. They had
Camera
those
is like a,
sensors, right? So now they are losing it.
yeah. Now they're losing it. Correct.
So there are a lot of things where LG is now far behind, and maybe they have to make some chips and all those things, right? Like
Correct. Correct. Correct.
start making silicon
Hmm.
and maybe do something more, right? I mean, retreating from smartphone market was, I guess, the worst decision LG made because that made them more
Absolutely.
narrow, right? More narrow.
Yeah.
Now there is only less things to fail, right? So
Right.
maybe it's a bad team making the
Hmm.
phones, right? Because they were not
Mm-hmm.
actually releasing all the shebang, right? They were just focused on flagships,
Yep.
flagship, right? Nothing like there should be mid end, low end, everything should be there, right?
Absolutely. Many customers never got to experience LG just because of the price point. So
Correct.
they could have kind of
It was not like the phone was bad,
thought
right?
about
Phone
it.
was absolutely perfect.
One was amazing. Yeah,
LG Wing and all the concept was like next level, right?
absolutely.
Um, yeah, I guess this is the situation now, right? I mean,
Right.
companies dies, OS dies. Yeah, majority killed by Microsoft, I guess. Let's see how many game
Right.
companies dies. There you go, right?
Right. All right. So I think with that we can close this podcast, right?
Absolutely, we can wind up like this.
All right. So, guys, if you like the video, please do like it and share it with your techie friends so that they can also get the knowledge. And please let us know in the comments if you want some help or if you have suggestions for us. Also, go to Tux forums and post if you really want like huge help, right? So, otherwise, we'll come every Sunday at 9 or 10 p.m. and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.